Patrick Ford, grew up in northern New Jersey, was raised by immigrants from Ireland and England. So first generation, attended school in New York City my entire life, graduated Fordham. My lone sibling and older brother, also a former Marine, was in Iraq when I made the decision to make my mother cry for the second time and tell her that I wanted to go in the Marine Corps. So I was working for Bloomberg LP at the time. So I did my first 5 years in financial technology as a glorified software sales rep. Worked at Bloomberg, made the transition or the decision to transition about 3.5 years into those 5 years. Commissioned in 2011, became an infantry officer in 2013. Commanded a platoon, was first a platoon commander in the fight in Helmand Province, 2014, then was promoted to a company executive officer and had a special duty assignment as a liaison officer to the Air Force. I saw that in my bio. And in about late 2018, early 2019, my best friend from infantry officer course and I wanted to simply just, the conversation has started out with wanting to have a positive effect on the suicide epidemic that was happening among veterans. My unit alone lost 5 guys to suicide after we returned from our combat deployment in 2014. And then at the end of 2019, we could not decide on an industry that we wanted to get into, whether it be trash hauling, HVAC services, plumbing, but we knew we wanted to do something where you can get your hands dirty because we thought that would be the most attractive for a number of reasons to service members. Once they have decided to take off, the cloth of our nation, the uniform. So I called old college roommate who lives in Miami. He owns a massive packaging company down there, and I asked him for some counsel on the type of, on what we should do. And he said, number one piece of advice: pick where you want to live. You want to live in San Diego, you want to live in Mexico, you want to live in Montana. You have to be happy with where you live. He goes, number two, I'm not going to tell you what industry to go into. He goes, but I will tell you the characteristics of the type of company that you should either purchase or you should bootstrap. He actually said purchase. We hadn't taken crazy pills by that point yet and decided to bootstrap. That's coming in about 45 seconds. So he said there's a number of characteristics, and not in really priority order. You can write these down and determine for yourself what you value the most. But number one, highest margins possible. So you want the highest margins possible. Number two, you want low overhead. He said, don't do what I do. I have 3 60,000 square foot warehouses full of cardboard that I have to make sure sell every week. Number three, low commercial real estate footprint. That's a liability every month. Doesn't matter how well your business does. You have to pay $15,000 a month in rent to your landlord. Number four, lowest number of employees possible. Every employee, including yourself, is going to be a headache one day. Every single employee is a potential headache. Kind of has a negative connotation to it, but I'd be willing to argue after 3.5 years of being a small business owner, I'd be willing to argue with anybody or discuss that point because it's absolutely true. And now that that was end of 2019. My friend Will and I, we were separately driving around. He was living in New York at the time. I was still on active duty as a captain in the Marine Corps. And we both simultaneously, which is just unique in our friendship, Will and I simultaneously will come up with the same numbers when we're doing an RFQ or request for quote for a project or any type of special event. But we both came up with the same idea at the same time. So portable toilets. We decided to go the ETA route. That was always the plan. ETA stands for entrepreneurship through acquisition. It's what the MBA programs are calling it. I had read plenty of books on it. So we started looking for a portable restroom company to purchase and then scale. There were not a lot out there. There are a lot of companies out there. There's just not a lot for sale. And so we found one we attempted to speak with the business broker. So I should kick back Will's background. He was in the entry-level financial management program at GE Capital for 5 years before he went into the Marine Corps. So we both had financial backgrounds, and now you fast forward, this is about 10 years later, where all of our friends that we initiated our financial careers with are either portfolio managers, managers of hedge fund trading desks, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of comical because they became obsessed with our idea, and they wanted to help serve in their own capacity. And serve means seed capital, funding, whatever, counsel, advisement. So they would jump on this call with this business broker who had no idea that they were on mute on the other line. Meanwhile, one of my friends, Mike, he at the time was managing a $1.5 billion portfolio for AIG. And this business broker was not so diplomatic. And he was trying to sell a portable restroom company in Maryland for an inflated price for about 60% premium of what the tangible and intangible assets were actually worth. So needless to say, we did not purchase that company. About a month later, we decided to bootstrap. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing. We bought 56 toilets, a truck, and a pump, and put it on the back of the truck. My mom cried for the third time because I did not go to Georgetown and get my MBA or Booth. I decided to buy 50 toilets and a truck. We started. We got about 1/8 of an acre and a little shed, and we started with 56 toilets and one truck. And I was, don't tell the Pentagon, but I was still in uniform during the middle of COVID for 4 months on active duty, while I was going around scrubbing portable toilets and dropping off toilets with a Govey laptop right next to me in our big Ford truck. And I got out off active duty at the end of December. Will had already been off active duty for about 4 years at that point. We were not doing so well after the first 4 months. Not doing so well. We did $17,000 top line revenue. And then in late February of 2021, we really kind of hit our stride, so to say, with the construction industry and the special event industry in Northern Virginia. We underestimated how both of those groups, right? The construction and the special events, the concerts, the breweries, the so on and so forth, the road races. We underestimated how much they would embrace our mission, and our mission had evolved at that point to, number one, hiring veterans and really having a positive effect on veterans transitioning out of the military. We knew that we wouldn't be able to hire all the veterans, but we wanted to do our best to target them for recruitment. And then number two, so the second prong of our two-prong mission is to support Gold Star families. If anybody is not familiar with the Gold Star family is a direct family member of a service member who's been lost in the line of service of their country. I lost 3 guys, and a foundation by the name of the Travis Manion Foundation supports Gold Star families. I have a very close affiliation with the Manion family. I didn't know Travis, but I came to know his family shortly after he passed away, and we've become close ever since. So that's the second prong of our two-prong mission. So we ended that first year, that first 4 months, $17,000 top line. End of February, we really hit our stride with construction and special events, and then that kind of just took off in like a hockey stick like growth pattern at the end of 2021, which was our first calendar year. We did 1.9 in revenue, and it has exploded since then. We are fast forward 3.5 years. We have approximately 35 trucks, 3,000 toilets. We're approaching 55 employees, 25% of which are veterans. We've expanded to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to support a specific construction client that has brought us out there, and we are opening up a location in the South that I can't talk about yet because we're under NDA to support another construction client in the South. And we have donated to the Travis Manion Foundation and another foundation that's based out of New York that I used to support when I was a civilian. And it's called the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation. So in the same theme that I just mentioned, any child of a federal law enforcement official or a child of a Marine that has lost their parent because they are a Gold Star child, the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation puts a $35,000 scholarship bond in their name. And then at 18 years old, when that child reaches the age of going to an undergraduate program or a trade school, they can use that money to fund their education. So to date, Will and I have donated just under $300,000 from toilets, from the portion of each toilet that we rent out. Every GI John's toilet that you go into, there's a decal in English and in Spanish, has our logo, the Travis Manion Foundation logo, and it talks about our mission to hire veterans and support Gold Star families. Sir, we're in the construction industry in Northern Virginia, Indiana, and soon to be down south. And then as far as special events are concerned, I think we're doing George Washington University's graduation this Friday. We are the official toilet provider for the Washington Commanders, the Washington Nationals, and that's all happened recently in the last year, actually. So it's one thing that we also did not expect in this industry was how low the bar is. And when you take an infantry background and you put it into using that as your approach to refining or coming up with standard operating procedures by which a small business should run by, it's pretty powerful. And just setting in the structure, I wouldn't say the rigidity, but the structure and the processes. Jen talked about processes before. It's a huge part of our business. It's just every day, just fine tuning it a little bit. It's an ongoing experiment. If you walk into our TOC, I call it, our Toilet Operations Center, you walk in, it resembles the forward operating base that I was on in Afghanistan. There's TVs everywhere. You can see where every truck is. You can see where all the toilets are for that on the route for every truck that day. You can see where all our sites are. You can see what special events are coming up for our pickup and delivery drivers. Everybody knows what they need to do without asking too many questions. The specific intangibles that I remind myself of every day, when I pull into the yard is you have to care. You have to have some empathy. You never know what somebody's going through, right? We start early here. Our first shift shows up at 4:45. Sometimes guys leave here at 7:30 at night. We're working sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to have empathy. You have to really care for your people, and you have to be genuine about it. They're like young Marines. They can read right through you.